In the last 48 hours, the expiry of the USA-Russia nuclear arms treaty has triggered fresh reactions from around the world, and the next move could affect world peace and order. Here's what we know so far. Russia said on Thursday it regretted the expiry of its last remaining nuclear arms treaty with the USA, but was still ready to talk, raising the possibility of a last-minute deal. Negotiations had been taking place in Abu Dhabi, and the two countries were closing in on a deal to keep observing the key terms of the New START treaty, which limits each side's number of missiles, launchers, and strategic nuclear warheads. Now, the main story happened whereby when Donald Trump did not formally respond to a proposal from the Russian President Vladimir Putin to stick to those central provisions for one more year, even though there is no legal option to extend the full treaty. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia was still ready to engage in dialogue with the USA if Washington responded constructively to Putin's proposal. You see now, the New START treaty was the last in a series of nuclear agreements between Moscow and Washington, dating back more than half a century during the Cold War. On the other hand, Trump says he wants to replace New START treaty with a better deal, bringing in China, but Beijing has declined negotiations with Moscow and Washington. China has a fraction of their warhead numbers, an estimated 600 compared to around 4,000 each for Russia and the USA. You see, the reason this matters is because if nothing replaces the treaty, security analysts see a more dangerous environment with a higher risk of miscalculation, forced to rely on worst-case assumptions about others' intentions. The USA and Russia will see incentive to increase their arsenals, especially as China plays catch-up with its own rapid nuclear buildup. So far, the reactions have been mixed, as China said the expiration of the treaty was regrettable and urged the USA to resume dialogue with Russia on strategic stability. Ukraine, on the other hand, says the treaty's expiry was a consequence of Russian efforts to achieve the fragmentation of global security architecture and called it another tool for nuclear blackmail to undermine international support for Ukraine. Also, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the dissolution of decades of achievement in arms control could not come at a worse time. The risk of a nuclear weapon being used is highest in decades. Looking ahead, there are only two likely paths. 1. Both countries may not come to dialogue and sign the New START treaty. As Russian Foreign Ministry said, Moscow's assumption was that if the treaty no longer applied, then both sides were free to choose their next steps. Number 2. Both countries may agree on the New START treaty and there will be no miscalculations in the future leading to a possible nuclear war. That's latest for now. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching.